To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So I'm down in a spot that I would say 3 months ago, you couldn't even walk through. And I've cleaned it up quite a bit. And now we have, I mean, it still has a lot of brush and stuff, but now we have an area where we can put our wood pile, and we're gonna build a barn pole. Of course, Carolyn cleaned all that up. Now that wood pile there is now over my head. And it was just like 2 days ago, it was probably not even halfway full. I've been cleaning this area up quite a bit because we're really concerned about our garden this year. Last year we had a very unsuccessful garden and it just wasn't getting enough sunlight. Now I've covered this many times in videos before, but it's always worth mentioning again how important it is to get enough sunlight on the garden. It's easy to say, well, you know, if I bought 40 acres, I could do this and this and this. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter. My point is you still have to develop it. And we've worked every day that we could possibly work getting ourselves established. Over here, that's east. And so the sun comes up in the east, and I'm probably blinding you with the sunlight, but it comes up over the east. Our solar panels are right here. And yes, I'm going to keep them on the ground. I like them there. That's just my personal preference. I recognize there are other YouTubers who insist that you must put them up. I just like being able to move them based on the sunlight. And people have suggested put them on wheels and all kinds of stuff. But again, yeah, it all takes time to get done. And if I wanted to do it that way, I may one day just put it on top of the camper. That's going to be a storage shed. And then, of course, Carolyn's garden was here last year, and we didn't get any sunlight on the garden. Because then in the evening time, this is west, the sun sets in the west, and we had all these trees. We had cedar trees clear up to here. And so, I mean, we'd only get a couple hours of sun each day, so we just didn't get a lot of sun. Well, now you can see that I've cut down some of the cedar trees and the brush, and now her garden should get a little bit more sunlight. These cedar trees look like they're gonna die. And so I'm gonna get these out of here today. You know, I heard something, I don't know if it's true, but it sounds logical, that during the Dust Bowl, you know, the Kansas City Dust Bowl, the government came out and planted a bunch of cedar trees. Well, now we have so many cedar trees in the area, you know, Kansas area. Now, you know, over here in western, midwestern Missouri, there's so many cedar trees just overtaking the place. I mean, they're everywhere. And I don't know if you would consider them an invasive species, but they sure are a nuisance sometimes. I know a lot of people like them, but you can't grow anything around them. Gardens won't grow. My point is I'm going to get rid of these. I know the environmentalists absolutely hate that I cut trees down. Of course, we'll use the cedar tree poles, you know, make them into poles for the woodshed. So that'll be my poles, and concrete the poles in place. If I were to go buy the lumber, think how bad that is for the environment. You got the sawmill, of course you got the people who cut down the trees, then you got the sawmill, and all this electric and natural resources being used. Then you have to ship it all over the country, and then of course I have to go pick it up. Whereas if I just cut down one tree and make it a barn pole, I've used a chainsaw. That's all the natural resources that I've used. If I wanted to replant the trees I use, I got plenty of space where I can replant. Now this area, Carolyn is actually considering moving her garden up here so she can have more sunlight. That way she would actually get sunlight in the morning, because right now it's probably 9 o'clock. And you can see I got full sun. And then she'd get it in the evening also, so she'd get all day sun instead of just afternoon sun. So that might be an option. Of course, this needs to be cleaned up quite a bit more. Carolyn is so excited about her garden, and I just don't know if we've gotten enough done that she'll have a very successful garden this year also. Now, I do know that there are certain videos that you don't like me to make. And it's when I'm cutting or using the chainsaw. I can see it in my watch time. People just don't like the chainsaw. In the chicken videos. And what I find ironic is we're living off grid. And so the majority of your time is cutting firewood and now dealing with chickens. That's just going to be the majority of the time. But people want to know about solar panels and all that kind of stuff. But once you have the solar panels in place, they just do their job. It's not like you got to babysit them or anything. They just produce electric. And now that we're up in the house and all the electrical equipment, you know, the charge controller and the inverter is down here in the camper, I don't even realize that we're on solar panels. It's just like regular electric grid. So today, I want to get some of this cleaned up a little bit. I got some trees that I downed the other day. Well, I say the other day, it was probably a month ago. I want to get those cut up, and I'm going to get these 2 cedar trees down. Okay, so here I've created what's called a wedge cut. And what that does is give it the ability to have a hinge here. And so when your tree falls, it'll fall in the direction of the wedge. And you'll have this hinge where it slowly goes down at first, and then as the hinge starts to break away, it'll fall down faster and faster. It also gives it the ability for direction. This is the direction that it's going to fall. And so you want to line that up when you're getting ready to cut. You want to line that up. Some saws actually have a directional bar that shows you can just eyeball it and tell you where it's going to land. If you want to learn how to cut trees, the best video I've seen is by Husqvarna, which is a chainsaw company. Oh, it was amazing. All the training and how tall a tree is. You can guesstimate how tall a tree is by holding a stick in your hand, and it's really good information. With a cedar tree, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, I'm not going through all the wedgings, and they have these little wedges that you can buy. That I got 3, or I think I got 4 of them, and you can pound in there, which helps it go down, and so it doesn't come back on you and pinch your saw blade. So now I'll come on this side and I'll cut it, and you don't cut it right at the seam here. You cut it above it so you can get that hinge. Okay, so right here is the hinge that I was talking about. It creates this hinge that it rolls off of. All the professionals always get the hinge to stay on this side. My hinge always goes with the tree. I don't know why. I must be doing something wrong, but at least I get a hinge. So this hinge, what it is it's pulling up from here. It's ripping out, and that controls the fall. Now you'll see that my hinge is lopsided. And I did that on purpose. I wanted to keep this side a little bit weaker, so I actually, when I cut my back side, I cut it at an angle here. That way it would roll, this side would fall first and roll away from the trees over here. I wanted to land it here, but I wanted it to roll away from the trees. I'm not always successful with it, but in this case, I really did an amazing job. It did exactly what I wanted. So that's a hinge. Lots of science to cutting trees. Who knew? Cutting trees is a lifetime learning experience. It takes a lifetime to learn. And I've only got a few years at it. It's a good thing to have under your belt, especially when you're living off grid. The more I can learn, like rolling this, I can keep trees from getting stuck in other trees when I cut them down in the woods. Well, what are the odds? I ran out of gas just about the time I got this tree down. I'm glad I got it down, but I ran out of gas in the chainsaw. And my rule of thumb is, and I know a lot of people disagree with this, oh, I can work all day, is I run 1 tank of gas on the chainsaw. And then I finish up, you know, dragging brush off or, you know, carrying logs to the truck or whatever the case is. You know, all the cleanup work. I do that afterwards. And the reason I do that is the chainsaw is the most dangerous thing you could be doing. If you're getting tired, you're gonna make more mistakes and you're gonna hit your leg and you can wear, you know, all the safety gear and all that, but the best thing is just to be safe. A lot of people say you need those chainsaw chaps, and I intend to get some one of these days, but you can still cut your arm off or your foot or, you know, whatever. So, you know, you only protected a little bit of yourself. It's just easier to quit when you get tired. And I noticed I was getting tired. I actually started to cut this limb here, and I got really close to my leg, and I thought, you know, that's stupid. What are you doing? So I hope I can inspire you to learn your trade when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.